At that last Nintendo Direct, we learned about Bellabelle Park in the new Super Mario Wonder Nintendo Switch 2 edition. While it was neither confirmed, hinted at, or even discussed in the slightest, the idea of new badges coming to Super Mario Wonder is something I've always wanted to talk about. So I'm going to. Besides the Wonder Seed, badges were the main new addition to Mario Wonder, changing the way we approach 2D Mario. From action badges that add to your player moveset, boost badges that passively help the player, and expert badges that affect the player in unusual ways, let's discuss 30 ideas for new badges in Super Mario Wonder. Now, if we were to add new badges, we're not getting 30 of them. I just wanted to get that out of the way because I feel it's important to say. This video is just a fun brainstorming session for a game I didn't develop nor have any control over. So with that said, I could see up to 5 added in the future. At the end of the trailer, they do hint at more levels being added to the game, so who's to say new badges won't either? Every badge in the game is either acquired at the Poplin shops or after clearing a badge challenge, and I think that's the correct way to look at it. If they do decide to add future levels, I could see the rewards for clearing those levels being new badges. So let's first take a look at a couple ideas I have for new action badges. Starting off simple, let's get a double jump. We have some action badges that already have similar effects like the boosting spin jump, but I just want a full second jump similar to Daisy's in Super Mario Run. I feel like this could inspire some creatively made courses where a double jump is necessary. Next, I'd like a badge that basically mimics the Feather Cape from Super Mario World. The Feather Cape is my favorite Mario power-up. While adding it in Mario Wonder could seem a bit broken, it would be a post-game DLC badge that's basically just there for you to mess around with and have fun, so I don't think it's that big of a problem. The long jump was introduced in Super Mario 64, and while it has returned plenty of times over the years, I feel like it never quite reached the heights of both importance and fun as it did back then. While you could already run and jump pretty far in Mario Wonder, adding a long jump badge could make traversing levels quite a bit more fun. One of my favorite platformers of all time is Celeste, and in particular, the air dash in that game is one of my favorite simple mechanics that drastically improves gameplay. While the levels in this game wouldn't have been made with this move in mind, I do think it could inspire players to view levels in a different light and traverse them in ways they might have not before. This next badge is a brand new idea not from any past games, and that's the Stomp Bounce badge. With this badge, anytime you stomp on an enemy, you will jump over 2 times higher than you did before. Similarly to trampolines in past Mario games, enemies will act like trampolines and shoot you into the sky. A badge challenge level made with this in mind could be a very unique, fun level. The next badge is a move I was surprised to learn wasn't even in the game, and that's the Ground Pound Stun. The Ground Pound Stun stuns enemies whenever you do a ground pound. Pretty simple. I think this could be a very fun badge that integrates super well with Super Mario Wonder. Another move from Super Mario 64 that I'd like to see is the punch. Sure, can you just jump on enemies and kill them anyway? Yeah, however, if they wanted to do a no jumping challenge level, the punch badge could be an interesting way to make this level a possibility. Now, I have no clue how you make a platforming level without jumping, but that's for the devs to figure out, not me. Speaking of useless mechanics that would just be fun to mess around with, let's give Mario a gun. I mean a blaster. It would be sort of like an infinite fire flower that doesn't go away when hit. It could just be fun to jump into some levels and blast some Goombas. In Super Mario Maker 2, we saw Nintendo add a car to 2D Mario for the first time in the Super Mario 3D World game style. I'd like to see how that translates to Mario Wonder. It could make for some fun challenge runs trying to drive through the entirety of a level. Then finally, our last action badge, let's add a spider crawl, where Mario can climb on both walls and ceilings. This would sort of be like the next step from the cat power-up, and let Mario explore levels in unorthodox ways the devs might have not even thought to expect upon release. Next, let's move on to boost badges. In the game proper, they're not the most flashy effects. However, they are extremely useful and give us an opportunity to make the game a bit easier on ourselves. The first boost badge I thought of was actually inspired by an effect from the game Clash Royale. The Skeleton King is a character that, when in battle, grows stronger when other characters characters on the battlefield die. Then, when the meter is full, you can launch a swarm of undead enemies to attack the opposing team. With the Soul Swarm badge, Mario can build up a meter by killing enemies in a level, and then when the meter is full, he can press a button and launch an attack with all the enemies he's killed. This could be a quite fun idea for a badge. Then the next badge idea is the Projectile Reflector. This feels like an obvious boost badge that fits in with the game so seamlessly. It makes the game easier without being overly overpowered or complicated, kinda similar to the safety bounce. Then, I'm not sure if I'm the only one, but the badges in Mario Wonder give me red power brick vibes from the LEGO Star Wars games. Other than the fact that you can equip multiple power bricks at a time in those games, they basically serve the exact same purpose. Unlockables that make the game easier, weirder, or less monotonous. So I think without a doubt, we need a 2x coin badge. It's a no-brainer. That makes the most tedious part about 100%ing this game easier. Speaking of coins, the Poplin Markdown badge, putting every item at the Poplin shops at a 50% discount, would also be a welcomed boost badge addition. The only thing about this though is that it would be the only badge in the game that would have an out-of-level effect. But honestly, I don't think that changes things. I think this is still extremely possible. Then, as another simple, seamless boost badge, the Power-Up Hoarder badge will add multiple power-up slots not there in single player. When you play, you will now have 3 power-up slots instead of the standard 1 slot. Then, I'm not sure if this next one is actually possible, but I've been thinking about it since I first played Wonder. Let's get a double equip badge. I want to be able to combine badges and use multiple of them at once. Specifically, it's insane that you can't use one action in one boost badge because they legitimately have no overlap that would make this impossible. Kind of a no-brainer here if they think to do it. This badge is a mixture of 2 from the base game. The Auto Mushroom badge and the All Elephant Power badge could be combined to give the player an Auto Elephant Fruit at the start of a level. The Elephant Fruit is my favorite power-up from Wonder, and having a badge that gives me an Elephant Fruit at the beginning of each level would be very nice. Then, another quality of life addition, let's get a fast respawn badge. The respawn in this game is pretty fast to begin with, but those extra few seconds after a death are rage-inducing. I think skipping the death animation and skipping back directly to the checkpoint would be an insanely nice addition. Then a badge that might only be useful with a power-up. However, an auto-aim badge that sends fire flowers and Koopa shells directly towards enemies without aiming would be kind of cool. It would make the fire flower even more fun than it is right now. Then, if we're gonna have a 2x coin badge and a Poplin Markdown badge, we might as well go all in and have a 4x coin badge. The flood of coins to the tracker would still be an insane dopamine rush that would be hilarious to see. Then finally, the expert badges are the kind of Easter egg powers that aren't super useful to the player, but are fun additions that give the game a ton of charm. If y'all ever played the run games on Cool Math Games growing up, you're gonna know exactly what I'm talking about. I want an Ice Skates badge that makes Mario faster and more slippery, giving the player an extra bit of challenge that is also faster and more fun than the base controls. This is kind of the Luigi moveset we've seen over the years, but I kind of want to go even further into the extremes here and go faster and more slippery. Then let's get even more crazy. The inverted controls badge will swap the direction of the joystick, with up being down, down being up, left being right, and right being left. This rewiring of the joystick will require players to rewire their brains and make completing what would be a fairly simple level extremely difficult. Then, if we want to max out our quirk meter even more, let me introduce you to the Air Dolphin badge. This will turn all open air levels into underwater levels, requiring the player to use the dolphin kick to complete levels. Now, a badge that changes all levels to water levels. I know what you're saying. That sounds terrible. Yes, exactly. It's not supposed to be fun. It's supposed to punish players like me for not stopping at a standard stopping point and continuing to play the game for no other reason than a measly medal on my save file. We are psychos and we deserve to be punished. My final badge, drawing inspiration from LEGO Star Wars, the Super Gonk Brick, turned the most useless character in the game, the Gonk Droid, into a viable and powerful character. My Mario take on this power brick is the Super Goomba badge. This badge will turn the player into a Goomba who is also just as capable as Super Mario. He can jump, run, and he can do all the things Mario can do. However, he's just a Goomba. Then next, I want perpetual invincibility. I want a badge that gives us a power star that never runs out. Perhaps a reward for completing the DLC. This reward would make you invincible without the ability to die. Then, if I'm looking to break the quirk meter in a way we've never seen before, let's have it rain Goombas. Every level with the Raining Goombas badge will pour Goombas from the sky. While funny, it would make the levels actually extremely more difficult to complete, as if you don't complete the level in time, the Goombas will flood, and unless you're able to jump from Goomba to Goomba, you'll have to dodge them like no challenge before. If y'all have ever turned on items in Smash, yes, those things, one underappreciated item that I actually believe makes Smash more fun is the bunny hood that makes you faster and jump higher. The bunny hop badge would do the same thing. You'd bounce higher and run faster. It would actually mesh quite well with the game as it stands, and could be fun for a speed running challenge. It would also be more fun than the jet run badge we already have because you can actually control your character with this one. If you played through all of Mario Wonder, you should already be quite well acquainted with Balloon Mario. Well, what if we could be Balloon Mario all the time? The balloon badge would do just that. Balloon Mario in every level would just be so fun and inspiring to all of us. Then going back to reality, if you're familiar with the older Mario titles, when you complete the game, you unlock the second quest, a hard mode of the game that changes out certain enemies for more difficult versions of themselves. That's where the second quest badge comes in. With this badge, you will be able to replay the game on hard mode without being able to equip badges because you'll have the second quest badge on. In reality, this is the badge I want the most because it would add so much replayability for a small amount of work. And of course, for completing the second quest, the reward would obviously be one last extreme badge. And that should of course be the Oops All Badges badge. When equipped, you will be given the power of every badge in the game. Is this possible? I'm not even sure. I haven't thought it through that deeply. However, it would be sick, and that's enough reason for me to want to talk about it in this video. Anyways, let me know in the comments below how you feel about my new badge ideas, and be sure to let me know if you have any cool ideas yourself. I'll be sure to be active in the comments, so let's start a discussion. Anyways, thanks for watching, and I'll see y'all in the next one. Bye.